welcome to another episode of Kicking It with Coco. And this episode is episode 2 of season 2. And if you missed the first episode for the season, go ahead and check that out. I don't know if you would want to, not listen to this one right now and go and listen to that one before you hear the rest of this one, or you would want to just wait until this one is finished. But either way it goes, go ahead and check it out. Before I get started, I just want to throw a little disclaimer out there. Anything and everything that I talk about on my podcast is from research that I've done. The topics that I come up with on my own, straight off the dome. But I get my information from research that I've done and from my own opinions and opinions of people that I know, both my male and female friends, or opinions that I happen to come across during the research that I have done. This particular episode is very important to me because the conversation is being had more often than it was, but it's still not being had enough. And it is about black men and their mental health. And I really felt moved to do an episode about this because there are so many black men out here suffering in silence because they don't feel that anyone cares. And it's just really sad. It's a really sad thing to know that there are so many black men out here taking their own lives because they just cannot cope with the pressures of society, of being a black man in America, with whatever issues that they're facing, And one thing that I do know is that for men of any race, any ethnicity, when their money is not right, they are not good. They're not good. Excuse me. For me as a woman, when my finances are not where I want them to be, it is a very, it can be very stressful. But because of the faith that I have, that God will always provide and make a way out of no way, and I know that, as long as I believe that and continue to work hard, that I will overcome that type of situation. But for a lot of black men, that's not enough for them. Some of them, it helps pull them through. But there are some who aren't that strong. They aren't strong enough to get through that. And because of that, they become extremely mentally exhausted. And they feel that they have nowhere to turn because they feel that no one cares. And it's just really sad that they don't have anyone to express their feelings to because they fear that they will be judged by their peers, by their families. A lot of black men have been taught that showing your emotions is a sign of weakness. Crying is a sign of weakness. Expressing yourself emotionally in any way is a sign of weakness. And I just firmly believe that is so not true. It takes a lot of courage to tell someone that you're not okay. It's easy to hold things in and bottle them up and not talk about things. That is the easiest thing to do because you can think about it all day, but you don't have to talk about it. You can smile and kiki and go about your day like everything is great, but on the inside you're dying. You are literally crumbling. You're falling apart. And no one knows but you. And that is a very easy way to move, because you can just kind of like sweep it under your own rug and nobody knows, because on the outside you look like you're fine. But it's a dangerous game to play with your mind and your life, because for a lot of black men, it gets to the point where it becomes overwhelming and they really don't know how to handle it. So they result to suicide. And that is so tragic. It's so tragic to think that anyone feels like life is lifing to the point where they cannot take it anymore. They just don't want to be here. And, you know, honestly, I've been in some really deep, dark places in my life. And I know this is about black men and their mental health, but I'm just relating some of my own situations to the topic. I've been in some really dark places in my life where I didn't know how I was going to come out of these situations. I did not know how I was going to make it through the day. Like, where I would just be up for 24 hours. I couldn't eat. I wasn't sleeping. I was crying all the time. Like, I was just fucked up because of circumstances that had presented themselves in my life. But I held on to a little mustard seed of faith, and I kept that in the palm of my hand, like, not literally, but I just held on to that, and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And even now, you know, I'm still not where I want to be, and there are days where I feel like, okay, maybe I should not even be trying to even to do with the things that I'm trying to do to accomplish the things I'm trying to accomplish, because there's always something in my way that I have to maneuver around and break down so that I can get over these obstacles, these bumps in the road. But I know that if I quit, I'm never going to get anywhere. And I remember my dad telling me a few years ago, quitters never win and winners never quit. You can never quit, no matter how hard things seem, no matter how many obstacles come your way. You cannot quit. Failure is something that a lot of black men are afraid of. They say failure is not an option. But the fact is that as human beings, we are all going to fail at something. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care none of that matters. Failure, you know, people go through life, failure is not an option. But there are times when you are going to fail at something. You can't win at everything. It's just not possible. You cannot win at everything. There are billionaires who have failed at business ventures multiple times before they actually figure out a formula that works for them, that has put them in the position to where they are now. Richard Branson said that he failed several times before he became a billionaire. And I've heard so many other billionaires and millionaires tell stories like that. And no matter how much money you have, no matter how many cars you have, no matter what kind of clothes you wear, how fine you are, how much you work out, how bad your body is, life is gonna life for all of us. Shit is gonna happen to everyone. No one is exempt for the shit that life has in store. No one is gonna get out of here unscathed. It's not gonna happen for anybody. And that is the thing that I'm trying to get across in this podcast, that we all go through things in life. And it's sad that black men feel like they don't have anyone to talk to these things about. And what I am happy to say is that there are more and more Black men who have realized that they can talk to someone, they can go get help, they can, they can seek therapy. It's there, it's available. Someone cares. Before I get started with the information that I have, I just wanted to say that I hope that everyone takes this seriously. It's not a joke. It's nothing to laugh at. It is serious. Mental health is important, and mental illness is real. It is a thing. It's a thing. I know because my brother had it. Before he passed away, he'd been living with mental illness for like 20 years. So what I wanted to say is this. I have an article here for most common mental health concerns in the Black community. That's what I'm going to start off with. The Black community is 20% more likely to experience mental health problems such as major depressive disorder or generalized anxiety disorder. In 2017, on December 19th of 2017, 16.8% of Black people were said to have reported having mental illness. That is crazy. That was just in 2017. Now imagine what it is now. And imagine, those are just the reported cases. Imagine all the people that went unreported. Now, what does anxiety look like in Black men? Well, this article says it looks like this. Heightened physical stress response, including sweaty palms, heart palpitations, and muscle tension. When put in uncomfortable situations, you may go into flight or fight mode, during which your nervous system works overtime to help you find safety. And that is when some people go into panic attacks. Okay? Panic attacks can feel like you're having a heart attack. They are no joke, and they are scary as hell. I've never had one, but I know people who have, and they said that they really felt like they were having a heart attack because their anxiety got to that level. Now, the rest of what I'm going to talk about comes from a blog that I found called blackhealthmatters.com. And if you guys want to go check that website out, you can go right on ahead. It's called blackhealthmatters.com. And this article is titled Silent Pain, Black Men and Depression. Now, Black men and depression is an often unspoken pain that deeply affects the health and quality of life of Black people. Okay? The most current review of a prevalence of 5 to 10% applies to that. And that's crazy. Because like I said, these are just the numbers that have been reported. Imagine the ones that haven't. This figure may be much larger as depression is commonly underdiagnosed. Even more, the failure to adequately address the roots of Black male depression is undermining our communities and keeping us blind to the deep harm of historical and structural racism. Depressive moods and major depressive disorders are defined as the presence of a low mood, sadness, and reluctance to engage in activities for long periods of time. So it's like they try to boost themselves up. These are my words right here. It's like they try to boost themselves up to make, okay, I'm going to get out, I'm going to go do something. And then once they're involved in the activity, it hits them again. They don't want to be there. They're ready to go. They just want to be around people. It's hard for them to engage. So they go back home. Or they go somewhere where they can just be alone. Now back to the article. These symptoms often build upon one another, which makes life even more difficult. And the physical mental problems from depression can seep into all areas of life, including home, work, friends, family, and community. So, when Black men are experiencing depression, it doesn't just affect them. It affects everyone around them. Because that is something that they cannot control. It's especially if they feel like they don't have anyone to talk to. It's being bottled up. So now, the least little thing that someone says or does that has nothing to do with how they're feeling, they're going to lash out on those people. Or whomever is around is going to feel the wrath of their depression because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to get a hold of it and keep that thing on lockdown. They don't know how to do that. So that is the result of it. The sociological risk factors for depression are fairly well known, such as income, poverty, employment, childhood trauma. Okay, childhood trauma is a big one. There are a lot of Black men walking around here with unresolved childhood trauma, and baby, let me tell you, it is hard to love a Black man like that. It is hard, and I'm saying it because I have tried, and I have tried it twice. It is hard. I dealt with that in my last relationship, and I dealt with that with my 3 youngest kids' father. When I say that shit is hard to do, it's hard as hell, especially when they're still dealing with a mother or a father who is still treating them like shit. Okay? In my last relationship, I was there when my ex found out a lot of fucked up things. A lot of truths that were that were kept hidden from him for years. And he didn't find out certain things until he got to be a grown-ass man, like 40 years old. And I was there when everything was unveiled. And when I tell you it was fucked up, it was fucked up. And even to the day, I don't know how he's feeling about it now because I haven't spoken to him in like over a year. But when we were together, it was still fucking with him. It was still bothering him. And I could completely understand that. But what I learned is that you cannot love a man out of that. I don't care how much you show you love him. If he does not deal with that, if he does not go get some type of professional help for that shit, I don't care how much you love him and how many things you do to show him that you are loyal, you got his back, you are his best friend, you don't want anything but the best for him, you will do anything for him. And I don't mean sex. We're going to throw that out for a minute. I don't care how much of all of that you do and show constantly. If he doesn't get help for that, it's going to remain a problem. It's going to be a problem in your relationship because those people, when they're still around, especially if they're still in that man's life, it's going to become a problem for the way that he thinks about trust. His trust issues are going to be fucked up. And don't let him already have, on top of that, have dealt with women who have fucked him over. So now he has unresolved relationship traumas and unresolved childhood traumas. That's some shit that I dealt with in my last relationship. But because I loved that man as much as I did, I was willing to deal with that. But I tolerated a lot of shit. And I allowed him to open up to me and be vulnerable and to literally cry on my shoulder because I knew that no one else gave a damn like that. Like, he didn't feel comfortable. I shouldn't even say no one gave a damn. He had some people that really gave a fuck about him, but I was the one that he felt most comfortable going there with, like taking it to that level with. So I allowed it. I did it without judgment. I never judged him for it. In fact, I took it very seriously that he felt like I was the one that he could trust with his emotions to that extent. So I didn't take that lightly at all. Now, let me get back to the article. But for black women, okay. What was I saying? I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on a second. Okay. So, the last thing I said was that these are the sociological risk factors are income, poverty, employment, and childhood trauma. But for black men and women, these factors are rooted in the great lived experience of being black in the United States. And this is quoted, a lot of our depression comes from our situation as a people, end quote, says Eric Bridges, PhD, who is a professor of psychology at Clayton State University who studies depression among black men. Black people, we have a lot of shit that we have to go through and that we've been through just to get ahead. And so when people say it doesn't matter when you're not black, and non-black people say it doesn't matter, and it's mostly white people who say it doesn't matter what color you are, we all go through things. Baby, if you are not black living in America, you have no idea. I don't care how many times you see it on TV. I don't care who you know that's going through it. If you don't wake up, I don't care if you're married to somebody black. If you don't wake up in black skin every day and have to get out here and stomp these streets to get the fuck to where you trying to be in life and navigate through lifing as a black person in this country, you will never understand. I don't care how many times it's explained to you and you're empathizing or sympathizing. It's not going to be understood. It's just not. You have to actually be in these shoes to understand the miles that they walk. You don't have to let it keep you oppressed, because you can do anything that you want to do. You can overcome that. You can succeed. You can accomplish the things you want to accomplish. We just have to work 3, 4, 5 times harder to get the shit. It's a fact. It's not going to change. And I remember one day my dad, it was something I did not want to do. And my dad got really angry at me. My dad is a retired CPA and a VP of a bank. And he's also an Army vet. He graduated from Dillard and Wharton. So he believes, and he came from very, very humble beginnings. My dad was extremely poor as a kid. He grew up in Mobile, Alabama. He was born and raised there. He did not leave until he was in his 30s. He and my mother were born and raised there. He's from Plateau. My mom is from Pritchard. But anyway, I remember him telling me, I get up and go to work and work my ass off every day at that damn bank around all those white folks. And he said, let me tell you something. Those white folks don't give a damn about you. They're not going to give you shit. They're not going to give you a goddamn thing. So you're going to have to get up off your ass and work twice as hard to get what it is you need to get and be where you need to be. And I'll never forget that. And so by me remembering that, when I get into dark places, that's one of the things I don't ever forget him telling me, like, you you gonna have to get up and do something. But see, for everybody, it's not that easy. And when it's not easy like that, that's when depression sets in. Because not only are you depressed because of your situation, but you feel like you live in a country where, nobody cares about the black man. Not just, and black people as a whole. We've experienced that for centuries. But black men are seeing, their peers in all age groups. They're seeing their peers getting killed by police left and right. They're seeing each other killing each other. They're seeing all kinds of things going on. And then when they have their own situation, they feel like, nobody gives a damn anyway, so why should I even say anything? There are black men in marriages, in relationships, who feel like they can't even go to their own wives, girlfriends, fiancés with their emotional traumas because they feel like they're going to judge them because of past experiences with women they've been with who have called them weak, who have thrown it in their face in the midst of an argument, who have laughed at them, who have talked about them to their friends and their family, like telling them like this nigga was crying and he was like, that's crazy to me. It's crazy. Now, do you want to be with somebody who's always, boo-hooing? No, you do want a man who is strong. You do. But you also want a man who is able to be vulnerable with you when he needs to be. That is what you want. So, with that being said, I'm going to get back to the rest of the article. Black men who are taught that expressing their emotions is a sign of weakness. Really, this is not even the rest of the article, y'all. This is something that I wrote myself. Black men who are taught that expressing their emotions is a sign of weakness grow up to be men who lack transparency and the ability to be vulnerable, which results in unresolved issues from childhood/relationships. It also plants the seed for them to feel no one cares and seeking professional help is weak. Black women have contributed, these are still my words, heavily to the emotional shutdown in black men. Some black women, I said some, feel there's no reciprocity when expressing emotion is concerned, so they in turn stop caring. There are some of us who feel like, okay, why am I caring about your feelings when I sit here and try to express myself to you? You act like you really don't care. You act like you just don't give a damn. So I don't care about what you have to say now. I don't care how you're feeling. Go tell it to somebody else. They don't want to hear it. Personally, I desire the transparency and vulnerability. It keeps me physically and mentally, emotionally safe as well as them. And I say physically safe because there are black men, there are men in general, who when they can't express their emotions, they lash out physically at the nearest person around them. Whoever is there, you gonna get this work. Because I'm feeling fucked up today. And you right here, so you gonna get it. And that is why I say it's so important to allow men to release their feelings, to express their emotions without judgment, to be the soft place for them. And it's not to take away from them seeking professional help, but you need to get professional help. And you need people in your life who can make you feel like it's okay with going to get that type of help. You really need that. So, you really need to get that type of help, because at the end of the day, if you don't, you're just affecting everyone around you. And I also want to give this number before I end the podcast. It is the suicide and crisis line. The number is 988, and you can call or text this number 24 hours a day. You can dial the number, or you can text the number, and they will tell you what to do after that. So if there's anyone out here who feels like life is lifing too much for them, please call that number, reach out to someone, because there are people who do care. Not everyone is going to judge you, and not everyone is going to tell you they don't want to hear it. I hope that this episode was taken seriously by anyone who has listened to it, and if it only reached just one person, then I've set out to do what I aim to do. I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.